Good morning. Welcome to my studio this morning. It's a little overcast out there today, but not bad for a November day in Ontario. Today I'm going to talk about, I'm going to show you how to use Photoshop to edit images to use to paint from. It is no longer frowned upon to use images to paint from. If you're a studio painter and you're working large, you either have really, really good sketches or you're working from images. I work from images, and lots of people do. So I'm going to show you how to use Photoshop to tweak some of those so that you can get them where you want to be without having to do too much thinking when it actually comes time to painting them. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to shrink myself down into the corner here. Oops, not that small. I'm too cute to go that small. Okay, there we go. So this is my desktop that you're looking at, and I am going to open my Photos file. As I mentioned in my earlier video, I use my Windows folders to sort my photographs. I don't use any special apps or anything like that. So I'm opening my folders now and I've got them all sorted. So the one I'm going to open today, I call it Sudbury and Best Swamp. This is an image that we're going to be painting next week actually in my Brush It Bold workshop. If you're interested in those workshops, head on over to my website and go to workshops and you'll find them there. If you're interested, do sign up for my waiting list because they fill up very, very quickly. And I only take a certain number of people because I am only human. So this is an image that we're going to be doing in the class next week. This swamp, I'm looking at this row of images right here in front of me and down below, is actually down the road from Grundy Provincial Park. If you turn right off Highway 11 at Grundy Provincial Park, I cannot remember the highway, I think it's 141 or something, and go about 40 kilometers, you will run into this swamp on the right hand side. It is absolutely perfect. That's why it's called Perfect Swamp. It has everything, and it's big. It's big U-shaped thing, so there's all kinds of material in here. So I'm going to open the image that we're going to be working from. Let's go through these and find one that we really like, or one that's similar maybe. I think this is the one that we're actually doing, or is it this one? Well, let's do this one. Okay, so when I want to open an image with Photoshop Elements, because I'm using Elements today, not the full Photoshop, I simply right click on the image and open with. Now, hopefully, if you've got Photoshop, you've got it installed and you've put your security code in, and you're all set and ready to go. So this is the image as I took it. This is with my camera. Now, as you can see, it's fairly yellow and the rest of it's kind of bland. So today I'm going to talk about basic editing. I'm not going to get into moving trees or mountains or anything like that. I'm going to talk about color and light and cropping. That's all I'm going to do. I will do another video that's a little bit more advanced, but today is the basics so that you don't get overwhelmed. I'm going to move myself over here a little bit. Okay, so this is the image. Now, let's say I want to crop this. I want to paint this in a square. That's what we're doing next week, is square. So I'm going to crop this for a square. This is the crop tool over here on the left. You'll see I've just clicked it. It's in modify. Now down here at the bottom, you have your tool options. If I click that, it opens up some tool options and I can go, this is how it will crop. It will crop for no restriction, or I can set it for certain perspectives or sizes. So I could do square 5 by 5. I'm going to do that and it will crop into a perfect square. Okay. So now I'm going to kind of slide that over where I think I want it. Now I want more material in the image than that, so I can just expand this square out. And because the crop tool is set for square, it will always do square. Okay, I'm not sure I like this tree on the left, so I'm going to play with this for a minute until it's where I think I want it. How's that? You like that? Is that pretty good? How about right there? That's good. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So, well, that's not very good, is it? Okay, so let's go to edit and undo crop, because obviously my square was off the page. That's usually what that means. So it means it was up too high. So I'm going to pull that down a little bit and make it just a little bit smaller. Move it over a little bit. And the trick is that you can see I have my grid here on my image. I want to have that sweet spot. I want to have that. I don't want this tree in the middle. I'm going to move this over. Do I want it like that? Nope. So the sweet spot is kind of, well, I haven't decided where it is yet. It could be here. It could be over there. Sweet spot being your center of interest. I think this is pretty good. This is pretty well balanced. This main tree is not in the middle. I might actually move it, but for now I'm going to leave it right there. It's not dead in the middle. So now we have the image as I like it. Again, there will be more lessons on that later on how to crop it and move things, because we could, in fact, move this tree if we didn't like it where it is. I'm not doing that today. So I've got it cropped now where I want it. Now I'm going to go into my color, and that is enhance. Everything that makes something prettier is enhancing it, right? We enhance our beauty with makeup, so we're putting some makeup on this tree, on this scene. So I'm going to go down to adjust color. There are a few different things you can do here. You'll notice that there's a lot of auto things at the top. I don't use auto because I like to have control. You can always play around with auto and see what happens. Let's go to auto color correction. Didn't do anything. Oh, there it did. Ooh. Okay. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to go back down to enhance color. The one that I use the most is adjust hue and saturation. And what it does, it opens up this window. Okay, you have different choices in here. You'll see this little box here where it says master. If I click on this down arrow, it will actually open up all the other colors. Photoshop can break apart the colors and adjust each color separately. Right now, I want to work with the master because that is the overall look of the photo, okay? So I'm going to go into, and I'm going to show you what I do. If I adjust hue, watch the screen and you'll see what it does. It changes things, okay? So it changes the overall look. Obviously, I'm not painting psychedelic paintings, so I'm going to leave that at 0. I can change that right to 0 up there, and I'm going to adjust the saturation. Now, you'll see the color is getting more intense and more saturated. So there we are. I like the blues that are showing in this image now. I'd like to see a little bit more orangey reds. I'm an orangey red person, so I'm going to drop this down. Actually, before I do that, you'll notice that the yellows are very saturated in this image. I am not a yellow person. I shouldn't be allowed to play with yellow. I tend to go too heavy with it. It can be very tricky color within artwork because it's very irritating. It is the first color that we see as humans when we're babies, and it's very irritating to the retina. So you have to kind of go easy on colors, on yellows. So I'm going to go into my yellow. I've picked my yellow from the top here, and I could either desaturate it. If you look at the image, that makes it kind of dull, or I could just lighten them, and that keeps them the same color. It just kind of pushes them back a little bit so they're not as dominant. So that's nice now. Now the blues are showing up a bit more, but I'd also like a few little purples and reds. So I'm going to drop down my list here, and I'm going to go into my reds, and let's see what happens when I saturate the reds. Let's see what comes out. Is anything coming out? A few things are coming out. So I could bring them a little bit like that. I'm dragging that a little bit so you can see where they're coming out. See those reds? That's kind of nice. Now, obviously, I'm not going to paint them this intense, but it lets me know where they are so that I can show them to people. If I was there standing in front of the scene, I would probably see these colors, but the camera flattens images where I've got a little bit orange in here. Let's try some magentas and see if they show up. I'm not really a magenta person. But there you can see how it's really showing up. So I want it there a little bit, but not too much. Okay, so how's that? That's actually not too bad. So now I've got my color where I want it. Remember, you can adjust this and play with it however you want. If you want to go psychedelic with your color, you can do that. This is how you're going to see to this. I'm trying to show you how to get across what you're seeing in the image. So I'm going to click OK with this because I'm happy with it where it is. Now, the other thing that we can go into with Enhance is lighting. And that's right up here in Adjust Lighting. There are different levels. There are different things that you can adjust with the lighting. One is Shadow and Highlights, Brightness and Contrast, and Levels. Levels is the one that gives you the most control, That's the one that you're going to want to play with the most. I'm not using it quite as much as I used to. I like to just brighten things up a little bit, but that's because I'm getting better with my photography in the first place. So you'll see how we have a big black wave here on this chart. And the arrow on the left is your shadows. So you can see how it gets darker if I adjust that. If I adjust the one on the right, it gets lighter, right? So this is all, again, your personal preferences for how you want to paint. Generally speaking, a good image stretches from one side to one side. So that's where I would normally want to start the dark, but the dark levels, but I kind of like them where they were. I don't want too many shadows, too many darks in my shadows. This one here is your midtones. You can lighten it up. See how if I can adjust that, there's less midtones. And now I want the midtones to be lightened up a little bit. I'm going to do it right about there. Which is kind of where it was because it was not a bad photo. And there we go. Now I'm going to click OK. Now the important thing is when you are editing images is not to override your original image. You always want to keep that original image. That's important because you may want to go back and do many this image that I'm working with here has a lot of good paintings within that image that you can crop out. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to go to File and I'm going to Save As. I always save as. Save As allows you to make a copy. That's basically what you're doing is you're making a copy and renaming it. So I'm saving as and I'm going to take it out of the original folder where it was and I'm going to go into save it into another folder. Now, again, if you watch my video on organizing my artwork, I have a folder that I call Good Stuff. And the Good Stuff one is got all my photos that have been edited for canvas sizes or surface sizes. So I have 36 by 60, 36 by 72 here, 48 by 60, whatever sizes you paint the most. I don't paint anything smaller than 24 by 24 and they're under square. So I'm going to scroll down here until I find the folder that says square because that's what it is. It's square. Doesn't matter what size square it is, but it's a square. Put it in here. And I'm just going to click Save. Now, I've already got it in here because I've already edited this later. So right now what I'm going to do is I don't want to replace it, right? Because the other one may be slightly different. I want to save this as a copy. You can have 2 and 3 different edits of the same image within the same folder. All you have to do is change the name of it. So here's the file name. That's the actual photograph name. I don't want to lose that. So if I want to just change the name, I can add an A on the end of it or ABC. That will tell you which order you edit them in, or 1, 2, 3, or whatever the Jackson 5 happened to sing. So I'm going to put an A on the end of this and see if it happens. Right, it worked. Okay, wanted to make sure I hadn't named that before. Click OK. It's now saved in that folder and it's open for me to go look at it. So let's open this folder. I'm going to go into my square. One of the things I really like about Windows is that they have a quick access here on the left that will open up any folder that you use the most. You can just set them as shortcuts here. So without having them all over your desktop. So I'm going to open my square folder, and because this is the last one I edited, it's right there. Now, if I want to see what other one I did with this, I just click it and I'm going to click rename. Then I'm going to copy this file name. So I'm going to copy. I'm going to put it up here in my, here. I'm going to take the A off it because that was what I renamed it, right? I'm going to click enter. And what's going to happen is this folder is going to search anything else that I have already edited with this folder. So I have searched out this image number that I like because I want to see what else I've already done with this because I've had this image for quite a while. So it's been edited a few times. So this window shows all the search results for this particular number within this folder. I could expand the search, but I didn't. I just wanted to see what I had done in this particular size. It's been done in a few different sizes. So here we are with, when I did the search, here we are with the 4 images that came up in that folder after I searched that image number. Regardless if I had renamed them, as you'll see in the pictures that they have been renamed, anything that has that base number in it, the search will find. I could expand the search beyond this folder, but I wanted to see just what was in this folder. So I'm going to open these up And let's see what we're doing here. Here's the first one. Here's the second one. This was done as a close-up for a small. And here's another one. And here's the one that we just did. Now, you'll notice the difference between this one and the first one. The first one is a little bit more kind of blotchy looking, and that's because years ago I had a hard time loosening up. This had a filter used on it called paint daubs, and we will get into that later. If you find that you're painting too much detail, paint daubs is a good filter that you can use to help you. It kind of clumps your values together a little bit. So here we are. I'm going to close this off, and where's my mouse? Close this off. And there we go. And here you are with the finished image ready to paint. It's pretty close to the one we did on for the workshop on next weekend. Maybe I'll use that one instead, or next week. And again, if you're interested, if you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. And if you're interested in workshops, make sure you sign up for my workshop list on my website, www.SheilaDavis.ca. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.